Today I'm going to be talking about a trade that happened and the events leading to this trade. So, in my first ever sports history kind of lesson thing, as I like to call them, I talked about the 1996 Stanley Cup and I talked about my favorite player, Patrick Waugh. So this is the trade that got him to the Colorado Avalanche, where he ended up winning the Stanley Cup. And this is the same season that he went over. So, Waugh started his career with the Montreal Canadiens, which is a team up in Canada. And one game, they were facing the Detroit Red Wings in Detroit. And Waugh was starting the game, and right away, start of the first period, let in 5 goals. They were down 5-1 at the end of the first, which isn't good at all. It's not good. Team, however, left him in, and usually you'd switch out your goalie if they're having a bad night, but they kept him in because he was their star player. And later on, the next period, he gets scored on some more, and the goals just keep piling up. At this point, it's like 8-1, 9-1, and he's just getting so angry because it seems like nothing is going right, and yet they're not switching the goalies out, even though he's like yelling to his coach, please switch me out. Like, he's literally begging him. And eventually, after it's 10-1, the coach switches him out for their backup goalie. Now, this is the point in the league where it was kind of weird because some stadiums had glass up, like behind the benches, but the stadium that they were in didn't. And so he goes over to the president of the team, who is sitting next to the general manager, and those are the two people who kind of like make all the trades. And he just says to them, "I am never going to play for the Montreal Canadiens again." And this was kind of weird because Waugh had won a Stanley Cup with them. He loved Montreal. He loved everything about it. But he was also growing kind of unsettled because the team wasn't as good. He wasn't getting much support from the coaches and all the people in management. And finally it all boiled up and he went up and just said, "I'm done, trade me." So eventually they did trade him. It was very soon after that because if he's not going to play, why would you have him on your team? So it was a really weird trade, and it's known as one of the most lopsided trades in history because obviously Patrick Waugh goes on to win a Stanley Cup with the Colorado Avalanche. So the trade was Patrick Waugh and Mike Keane, who was the captain of the Canadiens. So they're trading their superstar goalie and the captain of their team in one trade, which was weird because usually you never trade your captain because they're like your captain, they're the leader of the team. And they traded them for, and excuse the names because all 3 of these names are very odd and very unique, and so it's going to be difficult for me to say them. So it's Jocelyn Thibault, something like that, Martin Rushinsky, and Andrei Kovalenko. So all 3 of those players, they might have played in the NHL, but they weren't good. They weren't household names in all around the world. And yet Patrick Waugh is considered one of the top 5 goalies of all time. And so you can see why that's a little bit of a lopsided trade. Plus, the Avalanche won the Stanley Cup by getting rid of those 3 people who were probably considered prospects at the time and getting a superstar goaltender, and Mike Keane was a big piece in winning that Stanley Cup too. Now, going back to the reasons why he was traded, Waugh was known as kind of a hothead. He got a lot of penalties for talking on the ice. He got into a couple fights on the ice, which is just something that happens in hockey. And he was just known, there's many clips of him getting angry with his defenseman and taking his stick and slamming against the crossbar and breaking his stick and just getting really angry. And so it took him so long to get boiled up to that point of and what's weird is usually you would expect from Waugh, or people would have expected, was him to blow up on the bench and just start yelling. But he just calmly walked over to the GM and the president and just said, "I don't want to play for the Montreal Canadiens anymore." So that is one of my, not favorite, but it's one of the weirdest trades and circumstances leading to a trade in sports history. And it involved something that we already talked about, so you had a little more background on him. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed watching this as much as I enjoyed making it. Go outside, have a great day, guys.